You can't predict how your child will do once they leave the nest. And trust me, it pains me to say that because I'm a mother too. But what you can do is help them to build a solid money management system so that they can manage their money well even when you're not around. We discussed how to build a solid money system for them to take to college in the last video in this series. If you didn't catch that one, it is fundamental, so please go back and work through it. Don't worry, I will wait. Today, we're going to help your teen tell that money system what to do by building a budget they can take with them to college. Hi, I'm Amanda L. Grossman from MoneyProdigy.com, where I partner with parents to help them teach their teens how to manage their money. A budget is really what glues a money system together. And once we do a best guessed one based on your teen's current data and some estimations about their next step in life, they'll be able to come back and tweak it again and again as their financial situation changes and shifts in the coming 5 to 10 years. If you haven't already, go ahead and download College App's free printable teen budget worksheet. The link is in the video description below. We're going to fill this out together, and while we do that, I want you to keep in mind that you're just filling this out for their first year in college. Trying to estimate things further out than that is not time well spent because things change so much at this age in their lives. Your teen's first step is to take into account all of their income and resources they expect to have while in that first year of college. So right now, your teen likely has inconsistent income, possibly from seasonal work, occasional babysitting, maybe jobs over the summer, some gigs, and the like. That's okay. You'll want to help them look over their bank statements from the last 6 months and average the total income over that time. Use this as the estimate for what they bring in each month. Then they'll need to estimate how their income and resources will change with college. Other income sources could include things like any family contributions to their finances, such as continued allowance. For example, I was not on the meal plan in my college, so my mother deposited $250 each month into my checking account to help me pay for food. Any financial aid that includes a living stipend, they do exist. And work-study programs, or a withdrawal from savings that are specifically set aside for college living expenses, and things like that. So for step number 2, you need to estimate your teen's monthly expenses. This budget worksheet does a great job of breaking down a college-bound teen's expenses into 3 different categories: school expenses, fixed expenses, and variable expenses. As we go through each category, make note of any line items where you need to have a conversation about money responsibilities or who is going to be responsible for paying for what. We'll be discussing this more in the next video in this series, so you can come back and fill in any blanks that you're just not sure of right now. So school expenses tend to be front-loaded. For example, you typically buy textbooks and supplies in the first month of school, and then you don't have to purchase more until the following semester. For the purposes of this budget, I recommend you estimate the cost of your textbooks for 1 year, so 2 different semesters or 3, depending on your teen's college and their course load, and then divide that number by 12. Or however many months they have until they need the money to use. That's going to get them a monthly expense that they can fill in on this budget worksheet. Then, instead of paying this out each month, they'll want to save that monthly amount in a savings account. When it's time to buy or rent the textbooks, they'll have a good chunk of the money in an account waiting for the expense. For tuition and fees, you'll just want to include those being paid by the student. That way, your teen will get a clear picture of what they are responsible for each month. And hint, if you don't know yet, we'll be talking about college money responsibilities in the next video, so stick around. What fixed expenses will your teen have during their first year in college? If they are living off campus in an apartment with themselves or with others, then they'll have a good number of these expenses each month, such as utilities, rent payment, their share of electricity, etc. Help your teenager gather numbers for a range of rent costs around their chosen college. Will your teen own or purchase a car? That will come with gas and parking fees. Or will they take public transportation to travel back and forth to campus for classes and activities? You can search for an off-campus versus on-campus living calculator to help you through this process. And hint, this is also a good time to compare the estimated costs of off-campus living, at-home living, and room and board costs at your teen's chosen college, and make sure you're making an informed decision here. If your teen has room and board included in their tuition and is living on campus, then they can skip estimating many of these fixed costs. Now we get to the variable expenses. These are the expenses that your teen has the most control over. This means that if your numbers don't end up working out when we get to the section where we add everything up and do the math, this is definitely the section where you can work on things. For teens living on campus with room and board, they will not need groceries. However, they'll likely want at least a bit of money for snacks and eating out here and there. But if they are living off campus and otherwise aren't joining the meal plan program, then they'll need to budget for groceries. How much can your teen reasonably budget in for things like clothes, travel, gifts, and entertainment? Also, don't forget savings. Even teens and young adults can face emergencies and unexpected financial issues. Step number 3, we are now going to do the math. This can be a scary step to take, figuring out whether or not your teen's budget balances with all of their needs and wants, but it is a critical one. Think of it as informing each of you and giving you feedback so that you can go back and make necessary changes instead of going to college with money blinders on. You'll want to add your total for each of the following columns: their monthly income, school expenses, their variable expenses, and their fixed expenses. Write the totals into the space given, and then subtract each of the expense totals from your teen's total monthly income. At this point, you'll either have a positive number or a negative one. I call these your leaks and leftovers. Being off by a little is just fine. After all, you've likely estimated some of the categories and you won't know for absolute certain until you get the real numbers and can write them in. But if you're off by a significant amount of money, then you'll need to rework the budget with your teen. There are a few areas where you might be able to slash some spending. Those include things like getting a roommate to cut spending on half if they're living off-campus housing, living at home instead of on campus or off campus, asking your teen what variable expenses they can reasonably do without, knowing that your teen is making sacrifices now to do what they want to do, which is to attend college. Can your teen boost their monthly income by looking for seasonal work or part-time work during college? Perhaps they could apply for a work-study program through the FAFSA or even extend their college education by working every other year. While we're on the topic of budgets and budgeting for the college years, here are a few helpful budget money habits to remember. Your teen will want to get into the money habit of tracking their spending now so that they'll continue doing so when the money likely gets a bit tighter moving forward. They can do this through their banking app that automatically categorizes spending or a printable spending tracker you can search for and find for free. At the end of each month, have your teen come back and fill in their actual spending and their actual income. This will be eye-opening and will help them to see gaps in income or areas where they need to cut spending much faster than waiting around for overdrafts as their feedback. You want to introduce new spending money habits to them, such as keeping a note in a notes app on their phone or in a small notebook of what they want to purchase, and then having them wait 48 hours before they actually decide whether or not to purchase it. Is the desire still there? Another great habit to introduce is to start searching for student discounts before they purchase anything. You'd be surprised by all of the places you can get a discount with a college or student ID. One final note. A budget worksheet is usually treated as a piece of art, filled out once, then placed somewhere to occasionally glance at it. I look at budgets as more of a football playbook, where they're crossing things off and erasing and scratching things off as they no longer make sense. Help your teen get comfortable with making adjustments as they get further clarification and as their financial situation changes. Sit down with them while they fill in their actuals at the end of the budgeting period so that they know how well they estimated and they can start honing this very important money life skill. Your teen should not be afraid to budget over and over again in the coming months and years. It's a money habit that will serve them so well.